What you're doing, and you would definitely slip past it.
Because it thinks it's in a position of authority.
Yep, absolutely.
And
what is this approach missing, I should probably say, that works to our advantage? What is it missing?
Well, it's missing the conscious side of the argument.
Yep.
So if he says, well, it's like this, this, and this, and you're either going to, he's looking for an agreement, and you're not really giving him an agreement or a disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, well, come on, give me a little bit more. I'm not sure whether I've got it right.
Excellent.
So it's almost like, yeah, I want to go into a story.
There it is again. Okay. Think of it like this as well.
So play with that fishing rod, Scott.
Yes,
You just, you know.
I know. I've got to have some fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
By denying a client an answer, obviously there's a certain way you need to do it. You need to position it properly. Give it to you like this. The reason it becomes covert, if you will, and covert we mean it's a little bit more sneaky, okay, it's another word for covert, is because it doesn't involve or doesn't consist of this hypnotic language thing, this NLP thing, this hypnosis thing, all of those sorts of things. What it does do is ask your client to use a different way of thinking through conversation. As long as there's no hypnotic language in it, why would the conscious mind be on alert?
Yeah, well, it's gonna fly under the radar.
That's exactly a good way to put it. That's the time that analogy really works.
Because their cipher that they've had all these people work on, and and they're looking for patterns and numbers in the story that's being told.
That's it.
When they lay the code cracker over the top of it, it just doesn't fit.
Yes. What a lot of hypnotists jump for is go into that language. What I'm proposing, hopefully with this, is to say, when your client gives you a conscious answer, one way to get around it is to act dumb and ask them to explain the answer. And then get them to explain the answer of the answer, and then so on and so forth. To the point where they'll look at you and say, I don't know how to explain it anymore. Which is a metaphor to say, I've got no more words. What we run foul of as hypnotists as well, where we run into issues, is we ask the client to explain the explanation, and then we offer what we think they mean, and they just say yes. So as an example, your client might say, well, I'm a smoker, Mike, and I can't quit. You say, well, what do you mean by that? Are you telling me it's X, Y, and Z? What I've done is offered you my assumption based on an example. Really play dumb at this point and just say to your clients, I'm not understanding what you're telling me. I'm really sorry. This is not making sense to me. Can you explain it in another way for me? Without offering any information, because we know we come back to day one and say, if you want more conscious information, ask more conscious questions. If you want unconscious information, you need to ask abstract questions. And this even puts aside that as an analogy, because we're not asking a question. We're saying explain an answer. Now, the reason this keeps delving deeper and deeper into trance is because you're asking a client, hey, you just went into a bit of an unconscious moment to get that answer. That still doesn't make sense to me. Go back and find an even more unconscious answer, and so on and so forth. This is a very unique way to bypass the conscious mind, if it's giving you hassles.
Yeah.
Okay. And that happens at the same time. It happens at the same time of the conscious mind speaking to you and the unconscious mind speaking to you. Okay? So what else would let us know that the unconscious mind is more active or sneaking past more conscious filters?
The conscious mind is sneaking past?
Yeah, the unconscious mind is sneaking past the conscious mind. What would let us know there's more unconscious information? Remember, no visual, so we're not going to see the unconscious moments. What else are we going to hear? And there's probably a few you've actually heard your clients express to you, but hopefully this would bring your attention to them.
Well, there might be the odd Freudian slip. They'll say a word that they meant to say something else.
Yes, very common. Yep. What else?
There'll almost be some excitement in the voice.
Yep. So that will come across as a little bit of tone. What else? What about the way someone phrases their sentences? Now, this is getting really advanced, but it's definitely a point we need to discuss. How would a client phrase their questions or their answers even, that is more unconscious, even aside from stories and analogies and jokes and things like that? How else?
I'm thinking like more like a plural rather than a singular, if that makes sense.
Give me an example.
It's a bit like when I say, and we understand that it's like this, like there's more than one of me.
Yep. I'll get a little bit creepy at that point, but yeah, definitely could be an issue.
Like there's no gender around it.
What do you mean by no gender?
Probably a bit like repeating your mum's words.
Yes. Yep, so it sounds like
it's come from somebody else.
Excellent. So your client starts paraphrasing other people?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, what else?
Some delays before the speech.
Yep, so there's a little bit of pausing, like there's more internal focus before they can speak. Yep, and if you add that up, that's just like stacking unconscious moments, which is great. What else?
I'm scratching around in my toolbox.
I know. Scratch away.
It's almost like they're fishing for a reaction in the way they talk to you.
Okay.
Like they structure the conversation to lure you into a position. One funny one that springs to mind is something that my mum used to say, and I used to say, you know, you can't help but tell that there's Irish in your background.
Sure.
Right? Because she used to say to me, "You're not going out tonight, are you?" Right? So it's almost like a loaded question.
Yes. Nice tag phrase on the end.
Yeah, it's like it's, you know, they're telling you how it's going to be.
Yes.
But they're asking you at the same time.
Yes. Ask you a question and then give you the answer that they want to hear.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me give you this as well, just as an addition to that, as a perfect example, is have you ever had your clients answer you non-sequiturly, meaning that what they're talking about really doesn't fit the question you asked them? comes a non sequitur. As an example, you might have, let's use smoking again. You ask your client, so, you're deep in a conversation. Now you ask the client, well, what's stopping you from quitting smoking? Just an everyday question. And they turn around and say, well, you know what? It wasn't until last Thursday that I remembered what my mum said to me. And then out of the blue, this non sequitur answer comes out that really has no link to the question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
What do you think's occurring right then? And it actually happens a lot more when you know what to look for, or know what to hear, I should say.
Yeah.
What's occurred at that very point?
The unconscious has stepped in.
Excellent.
To explain it, because it's already across why it's doing it. And it's already across the fact that the conscious mind can't explain it.
Yep.
So it's taking over.
Yep. You'll find that you're 100% correct. It's when the conscious mind loses focus, which is just another word for trance, really. It's like the conscious mind wants to get up and answer this question, but then the unconscious mind drifts in, gives you something, and then repels back to the deep, dark abyss, if you will. It's very interesting that when you ask a client a question and they give you a non sequitur answer, it's at that point when, again, you're just talking directly to more unconscious thinking. And a lot of the times your client, just like it's just another unconscious moment, like any other, your client won't even know they've said it in some cases. So it's always interesting to notice when you're listening for unconscious moments to find out, is the sentence structure they're giving you complete as far as consciously complete, or is there an unconscious twist to it where what they're saying, the flow of the sentence grammatically doesn't really flow, doesn't make sense? A big example is the non sequitur.
Yeah.
Where you're almost, I say don't try and prepare your session, don't try and expect an outcome, but sometimes a little bit hard to do, sometimes you don't catch yourself, is when your client starts answering questions, okay, based on a question in two ways. Your client starts answering a question based on what they think you've said, or the assumption of the question they wanted you to hear, they wanted you to say or ask them. Like they're preparing up front. If you take a bunch of runners on a running track, one's jumped the gun. Okay, so sentence structure is key. A lot of people miss that. When you're hearing what your clients are saying does not fit conscious flow, you do it like any other unconscious moment. You need to draw attention to it. To say, well, you said this, but what the hell did you mean by that? Or what made you answer me like that? That's not the question I just asked you. Where did that come from? Because if you've got a conscious question going one way, of course the unconscious mind is going to give you something non sequitur, because the client's only speaking to you consciously about what it thinks this whole big issue, phobia, weight loss thing is. The unconscious mind's going to come out of the gates from the exact place it needs to be, or the exact conversation needs to be, and flow by itself and come out and make itself known. So sentence structure is key. Okay, so what else would let us know through auditory that the unconscious mind is more active? So we've got sentence structure, we've got tone, pausing, which is an unconscious moment again. What else?
Like a wavering in the voice.
Yep, give me an example of that.
When you start to get emotional about a particular thing.
Excellent.
Like if I was really excited about it.
Yes.
Or if I was really upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
That
Absolutely.
sort of.
Yep, they're really clear examples. Okay. What else?
So being able to pick up on that change in the voice.
Yes. Now I like the word you use there, which I think is important. The change. Meaning that it doesn't go from one to the other and just stay there. It's like a wave, it changes in and out. You go from conscious to a bit of unconscious, back to conscious, unconscious, bit of conscious. It's just a constant flow just like conversation is. It's your job as the hypnotist, especially using unconscious moments, is to spot where does that change occur. Can I pick up that change quickly, or is the wave going to crash on top of me? You know, when you're surfing, you've got to catch the wave at the right spot. After that, you get dumped.
Yeah.
So you've got to catch it at the right place. And just like any wave, it can dump you very quickly. Okay? So what else would let us know? So tone's definitely up there. Any change, change of tone would let us know there's more unconscious stuff happening.
The flow of the conversation.
Excellent. Give me an example of that. Perfect.
If we were having a discussion about something, and there'd be a time where I wanted to check back with you to see whether you're still listening, or whether you've got something else on your mind, because there'll be that check and balance sort of thing when you have that conversation. So they're not just talking and then you think, oh shit, the phone's dead.
Yes.
I've just been rattling off, you know, there's like that check-in, almost like like sending out a ping occasionally to see if we're, you know, if the data packets are still coming through.
Yep.
Right? So the flow of the conversation will change unconsciously to keep the other party interested in the conversation.
Yes.
Right? So it becomes like a dance.
Yes. And that's that flow again. It's the back and forward.
And you know, I guess there will be levels of excitement. Right, and you know, and the passive parts in the conversation.
Yes.
Because consciously they might try and start off with a point, but unconsciously be it maybe the volume or the pitch of the conversation will change unconsciously.
All comes down to flow. I think that's one of the most common things, and it's not an easy thing to pick up because you'll be in your head, even though it's, you know, we've got instructions say try not to be. It's one of those things you can't stop. Is when you start to notice what I call the conversation being stunted, like the answers they're giving you don't flow systematically. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, then it comes back to this. There's a pause. There's a yawn. There's a this. Now, we always have to remember back to basics with unconscious moments is that they're very fleeting. They can come at lightning speed. Now, what you're hoping when you see that lightning flash is you need to stack those up on top of each other. The more you stack those on top of each other, the slower the conversation, as a metaphor, begins. Okay? The trance builds quickly, like that lightning flash. That's the first point. It's like the unconscious mind saying, yep, I'm here, now I'm gone. Then you stack up another unconscious moment by just drawing attention to it. And now the unconscious mind says, okay, I'm here. Now I'm gone. And eventually that gap between it saying I'm here and I'm gone,
lengthens.
There's a time lapse in it. And in that time lapse, that's the trance. It's right in the middle there.
Yeah.
You need to stack those on top of each other till your client almost becomes unconsciously drunk. Like the more they try and fight it, the more it drags them in. Okay? But it's all fleeting. These are things you need to listen for. Now, structure of the sentence is an easy thing to pick up and you know what to look for. Tone, that should be obvious. You're really well versed at that now. The using other people's parables, other things people have said, like they're talking in like the second or third person, almost like an identity crisis, we could say at that point. What else would let us know? What are some more advanced things to think about?
A change in direction of the conversation.
Excellent. Give me an example.
So we could be talking about a particular issue, and then unconsciously they get no, it needs to go this way, and they start talking consciously about something altogether different.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that would be?
That's an unconscious prompt from their unconscious.
Mm-hmm. Why would conversation direct somewhere else? Just believe it or not, there's something the unconscious mind does that the conscious mind does very well. The unconscious mind needs to do it, or does do it as well. All comes back to the same thing.
Oh, it responds.
Yep, definitely response. Response to what? Or a response to the possibility of what?
An answer to the problem.
Yep. What else would the unconscious mind be on alert for? Let's say it was pure unconsciousness at that point. What else would the unconscious mind need to be alert for that if it detects it, it's going to sway the conversation somewhere else?
Oh, if there's something that's very uncomfortable there.
Yep, if there's danger.
Yeah.
You know, people talk a lot about, the conscious mind filters out danger. Absolutely it does. But you better believe it, the unconscious mind is just as good at that. And the reason it tries to avoid that, and the reason it tries to avoid danger, is because that's humanity.
Yeah.
But at the same time as well,
that's the higher function of it.
That's it. That's its purpose. If the unconscious mind is not prepared to give up on this quote-unquote loop that it's stuck in, it's going to avoid the conversation and steer you somewhere else because it doesn't want you to go there.
Yeah.
It's like when you do your own self-hypnosis, you're getting somewhere close when you're trying to pick apart your problem because you start getting really confused or really tired or start to think this is not working and all this different thoughts come in your head. It's like going around a merry-go-round not being able to stop. It's because the unconscious mind is putting things in place. Say, hey, Michael, you were so close to finding out the gold then.
I've had that so much this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a good indication for that with your clients as well and also for yourself is when you start getting confused about it, you're about to stumble onto something great, so you keep pushing. It's just like when your clients get really confused, you keep pushing. When you as the hypnotist get really confused, just keep pushing. Eventually you're going to stumble across it. It's the unconscious mind just saying, are you sure you're ready for this? Right before you cross this bridge, I'm going to shake the bridge so it's a bit unstable. But when you make it to the other side, that's where the gold is. It's the same thing with your clients.
Mm.
Okay, so just like you're working on your goals, think about your clients coming in trying to work out their goals. You're just the intermediate to help them get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else do you think would let us know the unconscious mind is more active?
The abstractness of the nature of the
Yes.
conversation. Mm-hmm. So you'll get something really out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Or quite possibly something that's a different spin on the topic of the conversation altogether.
Yes. Two things happen at this point. This is great. The out of the blue answer, usually you'll find that it sort of shocks your client. Like your client will say, oh, God, I didn't know that. God, where did that come from? We know that's pure unconscious. Now, a new spin on it is because what happens is when your client goes from conscious thinking where they're stuck to unconsciousness where the unconscious moment is, when they come back to consciousness, the pitch has changed. Something's changed. So, of course, there's going to be a new spin on it.